Cette interview de Sam date un peu. Si vous voulez voir les plus récentes, traduites en français bien sûr, elles sont dispo sur mon Patreon, parfois même sans abonnement payant.
Sam, now that Outlander's over and fans and viewers of the show are recovering from the shock of it all, what did you think when you saw what was going to happen to you in that final scene, when you saw it in script form?
It's something that I think everyone was very aware of, or the fans were at least, of the books, and ourselves, we knew it was coming. But I guess until you read it for yourself and you go, turn page, and there it is, scene one, and you're in the prison, and it sort of it hits home, and you think, wow, you know, we've got a real challenge here. But I was really looking forward to it. You know, it felt like up until the second half of the season, you know, my character had very much been on the periphery. We didn't really know an awful lot about him, and we slowly get to know more about his past and his history. And then, yeah, to go to these dark places at the end of the season was really kind of a gift for an actor to really go there and to see their sort of limits and their boundaries.
So what I was unaware of is that the story would take the turn of Jamie's revelation that that Jack broke him, that he actually, you know, was stimulated by this sexual, you know, this rape situation. Is that part in the book?
Yes, it is, and it's all told in flashbacks. I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly how it's told, but I think those main points happened. But for me, it was certainly about sort of three main points, and it was basically, you know, the sort of the torture of Jamie, the sort of physically side, then the rape, which is obviously, you know, another side. But then it was about recalculating Jamie, about breaking his mind, and I think for Jamie, you know, these horrific things that happen to him, the physical side, he can kind of deal with, but it's, as you mentioned yourself, you know, it's the moment that he betrays Claire in his mind. He betrays her because he feels guilt about it, and he found a moment of happiness, or not happiness, of pleasure, and that just shows you how sort of depraved Black Jack is, that he managed to find, you know, Jamie's fortitude and his strength in his mind, and to find that nugget of it and to break that. And that's, you know, that's what's really interesting, that Jamie is this strong character, but yet he's broken sort of completely.
Well, we see that element of his personality in a lot of ways, right? Here's a soldier who the ladies love, but he's a virgin on his wedding night. I mean, he's this tough guy who's very sensitive and caring. I mean, when Jamie first hears the story from Claire about this preposterous thing of coming from the future, he accepts it. He believes it. There's a kind of goodness and a trust in this man, isn't there?
There is, yeah. I mean, that's a huge moment, because he finds out that she's from the future, and it's a huge thing for anyone. But ultimately, he knows that she's hiding a secret, and he trusts her. He says, his words are, "I trust your word." Whether or not he can encompass all of that and understand exactly what that means about coming from the future, and all the repercussions of that, ultimately he knows she's telling the truth, and he's willing to go with that. And I think that's very much the mark of Jamie, that he is a man of his word. And in that time, in that period, you know, someone's word was ultimate. You know, if you said something and you were going to do something, then that was it. And yeah, whether or not he can quite grasp what airplanes are and what the future looks like is another thing. But for that very moment, he's willing to believe her and to support her.
And why does Jack hate Jamie so much? I asked Tobias this the other day, and his answer was that he said that Jamie, in his mind, in Tobias's mind, represents something that he cannot be, etc. What do you think that is? He didn't define what it is, but he said that's the basis of it. Can you pick it up from there?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't hate Jamie at all. I think he's maybe obsessed with Jamie. I think, I mean, not to go too much into Black Jack Randall's character, but he's a man that's lost himself. He's a man that's been through a period and a war and countless sort of terrifying things that have happened to him. I imagine that he's lost his sense of maybe self or humanity. And I think in Jamie, he sees someone that has a resilience and a strength. And so for the sadist that Blackjack Randall is, I think that, you know, that's his exploration in humanity and in who this character is. Who is this person before him that that won't break, that won't give up? And for Jamie, yeah, it's like this bond, it's sort of bond in blood, that he has all this history with Blackjack Randall, with what happened to his sister, with the death of his father. Jamie feels guilt about all that, and it's just this sort of epic three-way battle, really. That's it's magnificent and great fun to play.
And this physical side of your character that is unbreakable almost is almost hilarious on a level. I mean, you take more punishment than I think anybody has ever taken on television. The first time we see you, Clara's mending a bullet wound, and your arm's broken. We've seen you flogged and whipped and beaten. In the end of the season, your hand is all busted up, and there are many. They just punish you, don't they? Physically.
Yeah, I think Diana's got something against Jamie. I think there's certainly something there. But yeah, well, I mean, up until he meets Claire, Jamie has time and again put his body on the line. He has no responsibility. You know, we see the scars on his back. We see all these other terrible wounds and things he's got. And he does that continue throughout the show. But up until he meets her, he has no responsibility. He has no real home. He doesn't really know who he is as a young man. And the arrival of her into his life really starts him on his journey of becoming a man and becoming responsible and having responsibilities to his family and to his wife and to his, you know, future, you know, his children or even his tenants, you know, as a laird. But yes, he up until this point, his body has been, you know, almost disposable. You know, as long as, you know, he can just keep eating and living, then that's fine. But now, you know, he has a wife, and then he has to look after himself. But yet somehow he does still end up getting beaten up a lot.
When we see the scars on your back, take us through the day of shooting there. How long does it take makeup to do that before a scene? Is it hours?
Yeah, if only it were minutes. But they are terrific. They are such an incredible team. But yeah, when we were shooting Wentworth, for instance, it would be about 4 hours in the morning before shooting. Then we'd shoot maybe 12 to 14 hours, and then another hour and a half taking it off. It's pretty grueling because in between shots, you know, there's someone constantly touching up the prosthetics or the paint work. So it is pretty grueling, and certainly requires a lot of patience. But I think for me, it was almost, again, a gift, because it would be 4 hours where I'd be, you know, very tired and having very little sleep, but 4 hours of sort of just getting into character and getting into that mindset of where Jamie's at. And then at the end of the day, you know, it's sort of removing all the layers of skin and removing all this prosthetic work really was a great way to sort of release and to get out of character. And it was grueling, certainly, for the few weeks that we were shooting those scenes. But it's a fascinating part of Jamie's character as well, you know, that he has this past and that he wears, you know, on his skin, and he doesn't want people to see or know it's there. But yet it doesn't affect him. It doesn't, you know, he's not troubled by it, in that he just gets on with his life and he moves forward. And I think that's what's interesting about him, that he's ever buoyant and ever moving forward, and, you know, not heavily weighed down by things.
When I spoke with Ron Moore the other day, he was telling me just what fun little scenes from the set. He said that fans might be surprised to know that all of you actors who have to wear kilts have a real struggle to put them on the set. He said you have to lie on the ground or something and then wrap yourself in it. He said it's quite a process.
Yeah, I actually pride myself. I think I'm the fastest at it.
What is this process? I guess he said it's all about the pleats, right?
That's right. Yes, correct. It's I mean, Terry Dressback, who's the costume designer, has done an amazing job with the costumes, and certainly, I think for all of us, we found that the costumes is a way to get into the character. And for me, the kilt, you know, the fil amour is the Gaelic for it, is the great kilt it was, for me, was the way of getting into who Jamie was. And each kilt has its own, you know, life, their own way of wearing it. And it wasn't just, you know, a bit of clothing. It was definitely a tool. It was a practical piece of equipment for these Highlanders. But the process is, it's a very long piece of cloth, maybe up to maybe 10 feet, maybe longer in length. And part of the sort of the warrior culture, really, that preparation of every day or of wearing it. And you basically lie it on the floor and you fold your pleats in to make it shorter. And then you lie on top of the pleats with your belt underneath the material. You wrap the kilt around you, and then you fasten it with a belt. And then you have a process of tucking it in various forms, you know, putting it over your shoulder or over your head. It can become, you know, like a shelter from the rain, or you know, something to keep you warm. But yeah, it's very much like the warrior culture, that sort of Maori culture of sort of preparation and sort of preparing for the day. And they did, however, the Scots or the Highlanders did actually fight with no kilts at all. They would take them off and terrify their enemy. So we've yet to do that in the show.
Ron says there's a lot of mischief with the horses too. He said that they don't always go where they're supposed to go, and very often if an actor's on a horse and the horse takes off this way, he finds a way to get the scene anyway and then incorporate it later. How good are you on horseback?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that side of it. It's been a skill that as every actor likes to say that they can do, but when they get to the actual day of it, you're like, oh my God, I've got to ride a horse now. But yeah, I've become very competent. I think I've got a bit of a sort of personal challenge with Katrina, and I think I'm the better horse rider. She'll claim that she is. But it's just a great part of it. The horses, they've all got their own characters. And again, you know, Jamie's character is that he's lived around horses. He's very comfortable with them. So for me, that was definitely a way of finding the character, of learning more about who he is. And yeah, I've relished it. And I kind of miss them when we're not there, but they can be pretty difficult.
So yeah, I hear from Ron that what Kat loves to do on the set in between shoots is sing, and he found a way to fit it into the storyline when Claire goes looking for you. What do you do for fun on the set, just to kick back?
Wow, what do we do for fun on set? To be honest, I think just there's a lot of companionship on our show, and Katrina and I get on, you know, extremely well. We're good friends, and I think you know, we goof around a lot. There's a lot of horseplay, and we've both got a rather childish sense of humor. So yeah, whatever. I mean, to be honest, there's not a hell of a lot of downtime on the show, especially on location. You know, you're constantly traveling, or you know, there's a lot of time spent prepping stuff. So yeah, there's no time to play football or do any stuff. But yeah, we generally, you know, fool around or discuss whatever show on TV we're watching, or elements of the book, or but it's as I said, it's a really nice crew of people, and the cast all get on really well, and I think that's certainly, you know, the ensemble makes the show.
There's no way that you could have known when you signed up for this show that it would have become the cult hit that it has. I mean, at our website, when we put Outlander in a headline, we get a storm of traffic internationally. It's fanatical what so beyond exceptional what the response this show gets from fans and from critics. I mean, you look at the critics' rates at Metacritic, at Rotten Tomatoes and others, it's very highly regarded, which is unusual for a melodramatic kind of chick flick show that some people might dismiss it as. So it gets respect, in other words, from all of these, it gets extraordinary respect from all of these circles. And so you've landed in a bona fide hit now. And you're the romantic figure of that hit. So how do you process that? That's just got to be fantastic, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's wonderful for you to say, and I guess, you know, we are aware that the show has done well, and that's obviously rewarding and exciting. But there's definitely an added pressure. We've just started shooting season 2 now, and you know, we're certainly coming into it, I was aware that we want it to be as good as it was last year, or as exciting or as interesting, and I want the work to be as strong. But very quickly, you know, I realized that, you know, that we can't think about that we just have to do our work and hopefully, you know, hope that people enjoy it. It's such a big machine. It's based on these books by Diana. We've got amazing writers, amazing crew, but you can only sort of concern yourself with your own particular part of the job. So coming into something that's very familiar but yet different is also strange. You know, you find yourself not quite on an even ground, which is really helpful. It's helpful for the character. It's where he's at exactly, you know, in his psychology and in his journey. And it's funny how much that, you know, real life reflects in our show and sort of where we're at, you know, sort of mentally or with the psychology of the characters.
And now you're going to be a daddy, Jamie.
Indeed. To more than one, I think.
Yes, and I'm not familiar with Dragonfly and Amber, so I'm one of those people who watch the show, have no knowledge of the book, and just take it for the ride, and it works so well on that level. And I'm surprised when I go online and I can message boards, comments from book fans. They're not disappointed when you guys do that. When you go off book and you just do other things, they like it, and Diana seems to like it too, and it's interesting that everybody accepts these creative choices that you're making.
Yeah, I think everyone's very aware that, you know, books don't always transfer, you know, across easily into a sort of episodic format. I think they've done very well. I think we've stuck very closely to the books. Whenever we have gone slightly off piste and you know, invented some scenarios, I think it's always within Diana's world, within the world that she's created. And it just adds to the storyline. You know, a lot of the Frank Randall stuff that Tobias plays is not in the books, but I think it shows another side to the struggle that Claire's having with, you know, being virtually married to two men. And likewise, you know, seeing more of Jamie, more of what he's thinking. Obviously, the books are from Claire's point of view, so to see Jamie's point of view just gives us more of an understanding of who these characters are. And I think people want that. I think people want, in TV these days, want to be able to find out more about the world that they're sort of buying into.
And that was a very controversial thing when it started, when all of a sudden your character's point of view became a dominant thing alongside Claire's. I remember the outcry it was saying, no, this is Claire's story. But and then Diana was brought into the debate, and she was saying, you know, no, this is a good thing. You know, this is let's pursue this. And it was strange that became such an issue.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I think people, fans of the books, they would they say they want one thing, but if they got that, they would get bored of it very quickly. And I think it's important that we keep challenging the viewer and keep surprising them. Otherwise, you know, I think people get bored quite quickly. And not that we're trying to always be different, but I think Ron does that very well. I think he always flips things on his head, and I think our show is certainly one of the trademarks of it is that it's always changing. The one moment you think it's a show set in the 1940s or a show set in a castle, and then suddenly we're on the road, and then suddenly we're in, in sort of the British, British prison or in France, and definitely this show goes on a journey, not only physically. I mean, we go to some crazy places, and season 2 is going to be very, very different.
All right, last question. I asked Ron if he has a favorite scene in the whole series, and he picked a scene that we see from your point of view, and he said it's the church yard scene right before the wedding, where you guys meet, and you're both in your wedding finest, and Jamie has a line about the sun rising, and the line actually came from a conversation that he and his wife had, and they managed to incorporate it into the show. So it had special meaning for them both, and it's of course that the churchyard scene before the wedding itself is built with such anticipation, emotional weight, etc., etc. Is that one? Do you have a favorite scene from the series, from the season 1?
It's really interesting because I love what he did at that moment, because the line is, I think, basically in the book, Claire is describing Jamie, that moment that when he walks out, the sun came out, almost like he's sort of this vision of the sun. But what Ron did is he's actually flipped it over and made it Jamie speaking those words. And I just think that was a really clever thing, a little nod to the fans of the books, but something that, a viewer would still appreciate, but not realize it's there. But yeah, I think that's a really clever part. But for me, my favorite scene, I think possibly it's hard to separate them from playing them to watching them. But I think that for me, maybe the river in episode 9, when Jamie and Claire kind of go at each other. There's very high stakes and high emotions, and it was the first time that myself and Katrina really got to express ourselves, expand ourselves, our acting skills, and to really get to the root of the problems that were going on in their relationship. And those kind of heavy scenes, without being melodramatic, they're very rewarding to play. And before that point, my character kind of been on the periphery, and we'd not really learned much about him. So yeah, that was like the start of seeing how heavy or how rooted this relationship could be, and also, yeah, to sort of to move forward from that towards Wentworth was really fun to play. Fun, I say.
Well, keep going. It's a great ride, great show, and you're terrific at the job. Good luck at the Emmys.
Oh, wow. Well, that would be, that's fantastic. I mean, we're just delighted that the response from fans has been great, and hopefully word of mouth as well. People will keep watching.
I think you can be assured of that. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Thank you so much. Great to speak to you. Bye-bye.
Same here. Bye-bye.
Merci d'avoir regardé cette vidéo. Si vous souhaitez en découvrir d'autres en VOSTFR ou accéder à mes contenus exclusifs et récents, rendez-vous sur mon Patreon. Le lien est juste en dessous.